When it comes to luxury two-doors, Mercedes-Benz used to have one of the most comprehensive lineups in the industry. Everything from the base C to the E to the flagship S-Class coupe, there was essentially a two-door for every buyer, regardless of your budget or whether you wanted a small or a large model. However, as you guys know, sales of two-door coupes have significantly tapered off over the years, so it's forced essentially even Mercedes-Benz to consolidate their two doors into essentially one model, which is what we saw last year, the all-new CLE, which essentially combines the C-Class and E-Class into a sleek two-door body. Now, as you guys know, the mad scientists at AMG hadn't had a chance to get their hands on one. However, for 2025, that has changed because, as you can see, this week we are finally behind the wheel of the 2025 Mercedes-AMG CLE 53. It essentially takes the turbocharged inline-six from the 450 and adds an electric supercharger and also crafts on a body that screams, "I'm an M4 killer" from almost every angle. So as you can see, this week we are testing out this Alpine Gray CLE 53, and the big question I went answered: has Mercedes-AMG successfully turned the CLE into an M4 killer? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the design changes that Mercedes-AMG has made to the regular CLE class, let me first go ahead and pop the hood, because that's always the big story here with any AMG model. It tends to have a lot more power versus the regular versions. And as you can see, what you find underneath here is a 3-liter twin charge, which means it's a turbocharged and inline-six with an electric supercharger. Now, as you can see underneath the hood, I'm just really glad to find a 6-cylinder engine as opposed to a 4-cylinder engine. As you guys know, or may have heard, Mercedes-AMG has been busy downsizing, replacing their V8s with 2-liter turbo 4s. They're going to start to backtrack apparently from there, and essentially most of their models will have an inline-six like this, or they're going to return to offering their 4-liter twin turbo V8. Now, of course, this engine here is also augmented by a 48-volt mild hybrid system. So it's a turbocharged electric supercharged, and it also has a 48-volt mild hybrid system. It's a beltless engine because of the 48-volt system here. And the engine, with all of the, trickery that it has, delivers a maximum of 443 horsepower. That's an increase of about 13 ponies versus the previous generation E53, and the torque figure is 413 pound-feet. It actually increases to 443 when you have the race start launch control activated. Now, it all goes out through a 9-speed MCT transmission, so it's a multi-clutch transmission. It's essentially a 9-speed auto with the torque converter replaced with a with a clutch system, a multi-clutch system. And all that power goes to all 4 wheels via a 4MATIC Plus all-wheel drive system. It has the ability to send most of the power to the rear axle, so you can get a little sideways and have a little bit of fun. Now, fuel economy, this is an inline-six that's electrically assisted. It delivers up to 20 in the city and 27 on the highway. Combine that with its 17.2-gallon fuel tank, and you're looking at just under 400 miles of range on a full tank. Now, the electric motor part of the equation adds around 23 horsepower and 150-ish foot-pounds of torque, but you can never add the two outputs together. It essentially just helps to get the start-stop to be smoother, and it will just help at very low speeds to kind of fill in the gaps. Same thing with the electric supercharger as you wait for the turbos to spool up. Mercedes-AMG claims 0 to 60 is around 4 seconds. I expect that is conservative. Top speed is 155 miles an hour, and as this car sits, it weighs in at around 4,400 pounds, so it's about the same weight as the last convertible CLE 450, and also compared to the E53 hybrid sedan that we tested a few weeks ago, this is roughly 800 pounds lighter because it lacks the plug-in hybrid part where it adds the electric motor, and it also added that heavy 20-plus kilowatt-hour battery pack. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling. Now, first of all, as you can see, there is a functional heat extractor vent on the hood, and the hood itself just looks a lot more aggressive with its bulges, the functional heat extractor vent. This car in general, the CLE class, I actually thought it looked more like a CLA when I first saw it, but with the AMG styling enhancements here, the body is around 3 inches wider, and you can really see the difference here. I especially love, as you can see, the full digital light LED headlight system with this car. You have an LED turn signal, LED daytime running light, LED low and high beams. Obviously, the AMG grille here is the Panamericana style with the vertical chrome slats, the big Mercedes logo, of course. And I also love how Mercedes-AMG is putting their Afalteubach AMG badge there at the top. that kind of blends perfectly with the three-pointed star. There's a subtle AMG badge off to the side, and then you can see the front splitter on this vehicle has some functional and some phony air vents, but most of it is functional. I love the night package that adds essentially the gloss black accents on the front splitter. You can get a carbon fiber package if you want some genuine carbon fiber, along with some extensions to the front splitter if you guys would want. With a special package, but overall in this Alpine gray color for an extra $1,750. This car looks like a proper M4 competitor, and I think just adding the additional 3 inches of width have significantly transformed the design of this car. It's one of the best looking coupes that I've seen on the market. It looks way better than the old CL or E-Class coupe and the old S or C-Class coupe as well. So moving around the side profile, this is where the dimensions of the CLE will confuse you, because on the outside it screams CLA from the front fascia, but dimensionally this is about the size of the old E-Class coupe with a 191-inch overall length and a 113-inch long wheelbase. Again, this is around 4 inches shorter than the new, or I'm sorry, 6 inches shorter than the new E-Class sedan, but it's also around 3 inches longer than the current M4 coupe. So this is about the same size as an 8 Series coupe from BMW, which is a class above this vehicle technically. Its overall width is 76.2, so this is even 2 inches wider than the E-Class sedan that I last tested. Now looking at the wheels, I absolutely love these wheels. These are essentially the forged satin black finished wheels. For an extra $2,000, I believe. They're a 20-inch wheel with a staggered setup. So you have a 265 by 35 ZR20 Michelin Pilot Sport 5 summer performance tire. The rears are even fatter though. They're a 295 width tire, and that's the reason why this car is 3 inches wider to accommodate the 295 width tire. The brakes are 14.6 inches in the front, cross-drilled with a 4-piston red-painted AMG caliper, 14.2 inches at the back, 4-piston red-painted caliper. But the wheel and tire package is seriously aggressive to provide that extra grip. The adaptive suspension is also included, of course, to give this car a comfortable or sporty ride at a push of a button. You can see the badge here shows Turbo 4MATIC Plus, but at least it's an inline 6. This, however, is fake. I don't particularly love that, but it definitely looks good with the Alpine gray exterior color. The gloss black mirrors also look good. These are power folding with integrated turn signals, full 360 camera. You can see the panoramic sunroof is also included on this trim, which almost kind of creates the effect of a black roof. And then unlike the E-Class coupe, which had a rear window back here that would also roll down, it doesn't do so here on the CLE, which is a little disappointing. I really liked that feature on the E-Class coupe, but again, this is designed to combine attributes of the C and the E-Class. And moving around the rear, you can see the design of the CLE certainly has a very aggressive look to it. Also going in line with the rest of the AMG or Mercedes styling language here, the current language, you can see the taillights remind us a lot of like a GLE SUV, the GLE SUV coupe, but it is a full LED taillight with the LED daytime running light, or I'm sorry, LED taillight, LED reverse lights, LED turn signals. It's not a full-length light bar, which I think it actually would have looked better if it was, but I kind of like how they were restrained there. They didn't want to go with the trendy look. Instead, there's just this black plastic here. There's lots of badging, AMG badge there, CLE 53, and then it wouldn't be an AMG without the signature quad outlet exhaust. Technically, those exhausts are just trim pieces. The actual muffler is not connected to that, but my particular test car for an extra $550 has the AMG Sport Sound or Sport exhaust, so let's go ahead and fire it up. You guys can hear how that inline 6 sounds. And while it may not be a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, the inline 6 sounds good, very sonorous, but I have to say the last E53 that I tested had more pops and crackles from the exhaust, so they've definitely muted things down a little bit compared to the old E53, which also had this engine. Now, the spoiler here is also very subtle. I appreciate the way that looks. You can also get a bigger spoiler in carbon fiber if you'd like. If you push open the Mercedes badge, that opens up the trunk, which, as you can see, this car has a conventional trunk, and the storage space back here is usable, around 9.8 cubic feet of storage space, a little bit less than the CLE 450. I'm assuming that has to do with the structural bracing that this car may have. You have a little bit of storage there to the side, and you also have some underfloor storage here, which is nice. No spare tire. I believe this car just comes with a fix-a-flat kit. And then if you look through there, you can see the seats do fold down in a 40-20-40 manner, it looks like, which is great because it will help to expand your cargo capacity if you guys need to put some longer items here in the trunk area. So on the outside, the AMG team did a fantastic job with giving the CLE 53 a lot more aggression. But what about the interior? Before we step inside, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current intelligent access fob that Mercedes-Benz and AMG uses. You can see it has the AMG badge on the back. It's a nice, hefty, and heavy feeling key. It feels very high quality, constructed of nice materials. You can see it has usual buttons here for lock, unlock. You can also power open the trunk, and there's a panic function as well. I don't know if Mercedes-Benz offers a phone as a key functionality on this car, but the key fob in general is very traditional and it also feels very expensive. Now, as you can see, approaching the door handle, it has a traditional pull style handle with some chrome accents. If I touch that area there, you can see that will lock the door. It'll power fold the mirrors in as well. If I want to unlock the door, just touch the back of the door handle. Mercedes-Benz sadly does not offer an auto walk-away lock or unlock feature like BMW offers. Now, looking at the interior, you can see it's complemented by the Alpine Gray is complemented by the Power Red and Black Napa leather interior. This interior, this red is like a blood red. It is very, very intense, but it also looks good with the gray exterior and the black contrast two-tone. As you can see, this interior color is an extra $2,600. And my particular test car has the optional, it's a la carte, $1,000 for the massage function on the front seats and another $500 for the ventilated seats, which is kind of insulting considering this is the pinnacle package. It should just be standard with that. But the seats themselves, you can see they adjust in, I believe, 12 different ways. The headrests also move forward and back. You can also make them go up and down via the switch here. They go up electrically, which is nice. You can also make these bolsters squeeze you a little bit more. So technically it adjusts probably in like 16 different ways as opposed to 12. Because you can go into the screen and make some adjustments. You can see the door panel also has the Power Red and Black two-tone with the contrast red stitching. Real leather on this upper portion, piano black plastic trim here. Your heated and cooled seats are located here, and you also have 3-person memory on the driver and on the passenger side as well. You have some textured metal weave trim here, which is real aluminum. And then the pinnacle trim includes the Burmester premium sound system, which sounds pretty decent, although I did notice it was lacking a little bit of punch from the bass, even when I turned it up. Down here in this lower portion is hard touch plastic, which does feel a little bit cheap, but you do have some nice additional storage. The seat controls, as you can see, Mercedes actually puts them here on the door, and they don't physically move when you push them. When you push hard on them, they have a little bit of haptic feel to them, and that's how it essentially moves the seat around. But overall, the interior looks more like a C-Class as opposed to an E-Class, which I actually think is a good thing because I prefer the interior, I think, of the C in terms of its design, not necessarily in terms of its tech. Now, closing the door is heavy because it's a two-door, and it has a pretty solid sounding thunk, so that adds to the impression of quality. There's also that pops out right there that basically hands you your seatbelt when you get into the car. When you want to start it up, the start-stop button is located here on the dash. And because this is a mild hybrid, you can hear the engine just kind of whirs to life because it doesn't have a traditional starter. And it also has the traditional Mercedes chime. This is the AMG Black Napa leather steering wheel, which has a flat bottom design. It has the touch sensitive buttons, lots of controls here to control, turn and off your stability control, the AMG Dynamics, that's your drive mode selector there. As you can see, when you start to cycle the drive modes here, it really will change the character entirely. And when you guys go for the Dynamic Plus package, it'll actually add the race drive mode, which is definitely a nice touch, along with the upgraded brakes. So you can really change the functions of this car and make it feel so much different compared to, in the lower trims of this car. And it really will show you when you're driving this vehicle. I'll talk about that later on. Now you can see my test car is missing a heads-up display. You do have some real leather along the dash here, along with these really cool circular oval air vents, which have a nice satisfying clicky feel to them when you want to adjust the airflow, which I think this looks better than the dash on the E-Class. You also have the metal weave trim on the center console and on the dash as well, which looks nice. And the driver faces a 12.3-inch fully digital cluster. The passenger, or the center screen here, is an 11.9-inch system with their latest MBUX software. So the software behind it is good because, as you can see, you have access to their Mercedes store here, the App Store. You also can download Apple Music here, which Mercedes allows you to do that. A lot of brands don't do that when you essentially work with Google. They don't play nice together. There's also an AMG Performance pages where you can, check out your usual stats here. You can go into several different graphics here. That looks pretty cool, which is actually a really great feature. The graphics are fantastic on this car, which I love. And then it also has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a built-in GPS, obviously. I don't have the CarPlay connected because my phone is, I'm using it to film. You can see your massage functionality is here in the screen, which the massage works extremely well. It's totally worth the extra $1,000, but it should just be standard at this point. You can see this is where you can adjust the seat kinetics, where it essentially will move the seat around when you're on longer trips to make you more comfortable. There's your lumbar adjustment, your side bolstering adjustment, where you can essentially make that squeeze you if you'd prefer. If you guys aren't of wider frame, that'll be nice. The ambient lighting in this car is also phenomenal. Mercedes typically does a great job with that. You have dual zone auto temperature control in this car. And the screen itself is pretty quick and snappy, easy to use. It doesn't have the ability to tilt forward like it does in the Cabriolet, which there is a convertible version of this car as well for an extra $8,500. But it's not necessary, obviously, here in the coupe. There's also some quick shortcut buttons over here, along with a full 360 camera button here, because this car does have the parking assistance package for an extra $700. You can basically do a full 360 perimeter scan around the car. It also has an automatic parallel park feature as well. The graphics and quality of the resolution is fantastic. You can see amazing quality and just so quick and snappy. One of the best camera systems that you'll find in the industry. And of course, when you put the vehicle in reverse, that's the traditional view that it gives you, but very much worth it to go for the parking assistance package on this car. The climate package, as you can see, there is an air quality feature where it essentially has a filter that will filter out the nasty particulates out in the air, but it doesn't have a perfume that wafts into the cabin like you could get in the E-Class coupe. So again, it reminds you that this is more of a blend of a C-Class with an E-Class as well. Open this up, you can see you have your two USB-C charging ports. You have a wireless phone charging pad, cup holders, of course, additional storage. There's a nice padded center console here, and if you open that up, you can see another USB. Decent storage area in the center console. And then the seats, like I mentioned earlier, they adjust in so many different ways. It's a premium Nappa leather, but they could be more supportive, I think. I found that the seat bottom cushion was kind of hurting my bottom after a few, maybe like an hour of driving in this car. But try the seats out for themselves, see if you like them. I mentioned earlier you can move this headrest forward and back, which is great. It's also power adjustable. The glove compartment, you can see, is damped but not lined with felt. It goes into the dash. It actually offers a pretty decent amount of space as well, which is great. Visibility in this car is also pretty good. I can see out of the front, the sides nicely. The view also out of the back is good. There is no digital camera rearview mirror, but you do have a frameless auto dimming rearview mirror. There's a woven material for the headliner here, along with some map lighting as well that's LED, obviously, in addition to having the ambient lighting as well here. The sunroof, as you can see, there is a retractable shade. You can also open and close it, which is nice. Some competitors give you the panel roof, but you aren't able to open it up. But I do find this to be kind of finicky, so I don't like that. I would have just preferred this to be an actual button as opposed to a touch sensitive button. You can see I'm literally trying to just close this and it keeps opening it. So this is kind of an area that I find annoying. Now you can just push it, it looks like. You can actually push it, or you can just kind of push that and it'll tilt up as well. So kind of keep that in mind. It's a little finicky, but once you get used to it, you should be able to, use it relatively well. But overall, the interior definitely feels more like a C-Class, but that's not a bad thing. I like the design. The technology is good. Material quality is excellent. Build quality is also good. There's just a couple of touch-sensitive buttons here that I don't love, but I love how the drive mode selector is right here on the steering wheel. Let's go ahead and hop into the backseat area. I can show you guys what that space is like. This is a coupe, obviously, but if you pull on that strap here, you can see the seat will actually move forward electrically to reveal basically space for two more people in the back seat area. But once you get back here, super annoying how the Mercedes assistant here keeps talking to me every time I'm trying to say this car's name. As I move the seat back, as you can see, the seat will come back electrically as well, and it should go back to the position it was at when I first had it for my driving position. This is where I'm actually surprised. Mercedes didn't tell us what the legroom figure is back here, but I would estimate this is more like an E-Class. The old previous generation coupe E-Class had around 34 inches of legroom. This feels pretty similar because at 5'7", I can actually sit behind myself. I have good foot space. I can actually cross my legs back here, although my foot kind of gets stuck here. It's a little bit narrow. Don't even think about putting a middle passenger. There's no seat for them, and also you have this big hump. You do have rear seat air vents, but no climate functions or heated back seats. It looks like there's additional storage down here, and there's actually no USB-C charging ports back here, which is a little disappointing. You do have leather, a small window back here, more leather here, along with some ambient lighting and the metal speakers for the Burmester stereo. It would be nice to have like an armrest that folded down here. Unfortunately, the old E-Class coupe had a little panel that you could fold down to create like an armrest that allowed for a pass-through. This car, as you can see, doesn't have that. You do have adjustable headrests, but once you're back here, you can see the headroom space isn't great. My hair is basically touching the ceiling at 5'7". So kind of keep that in mind. While the legroom is usable for adults, the headroom isn't good even for average size adults, but it is nice that there is enough space back here where you could put some stuff, or you could put some smaller kids or shorter adults. So here we are behind the wheel of the Mercedes-AMG CLE 53. I've had a chance to spend some time with the CLE 450 and an E450, and I also just recently drove an E53 hybrid, which is technically this powertrain plus a 160 horsepower electric motor. This is the powertrain, however, that lacks the electric motor part. It does still come with a 48 volt mild hybrid, but it's nowhere near as strong as the E53 hybrid that we tested. But this powertrain is certainly no slouch. A 3-liter twin charge, so it's a turbocharged inline 6 with an electric supercharger making 443 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque. It actually increases to 443 when you have it in the race start mode. Mercedes-AMG claims this model should be good for 0 to 60 in around 4 seconds, which is pretty impressive, but I also suspect that number is going to be conservative because the AMG E53 from the previous generation could do that in around 4 seconds as well. The last time I tested the CLE, it was a 450 Cabriolet, which was technically a little bit heavier than this car. It had less power, 375, because it lacked the electric supercharger. But this car in general, even though it's an AMG model, this is technically the top dog for now until Mercedes decides to come out with like a C6 or CLE 63 again. It has the specs that you would expect for an AMG model. I mean, the last E53 that I tested was so bonkers fast. It did it in like 3.2 seconds to 60. So, and it also had the electric assist. It was almost as fast as an E63S from the previous generation, which had a 4-liter twin turbo V8. But even though we're in the race mode here, this car feels like a Mercedes-Benz. It's comfortable, it's quiet as well. The engine, actually, I'm noticing isn't quite as noisy as I was expecting it to be. The last E53 that I tested 5 years ago had an inline 6, this same powertrain that was a little bit louder. Even though we are driving with the sport exhaust, this powertrain has like a synthesized noise to it where it technically takes some of the real noise and pipes it into the cabin. But let's go ahead and see what we can get 0 to 60 wise. Now this is a little bit more uphill. We'll try another run up ahead at some point, but we're gonna brake torque it, activate the race start. Oh! Oh! The seatbelt is strangling me. Oh my God. 3.76 seconds there. And that's with it more going slightly uphill. So I wouldn't be surprised if this car could get closer to the 3.5 second mark. Oh, man, the fact that there's so much drama with these AMG models where it just tugs at the seatbelt when you activate the race start just adds to the whole like visceral and just sensual experience. It is fantastic, and I love the way this thing accelerates. And the other thing about the CLE 53 is, remember, Mercedes created this car when they essentially combined the C-Class coupe with the E-Class coupe. It looks more like a CLA on the outside, but dimensionally, this is an E-Class in its size. And the AMG model, when you start actually, you know, hustling on your favorite back roads, listen to the engine. Hold on a second here. It has a little bit of pops and crackles, but not as much as the old E53. So this AMG Sport exhaust for $550, it doesn't have much sound from inside the cabin, which is a little bit disappointing. Now, don't get me wrong, the inline 6 is sonorous. It's very smooth. It revs to around 6,500 RPM. And it likes to rev. I just wish it revved higher, just like when I first drove this powertrain about 5 years ago. The steering in this car is also quick, communicative, and just somewhat, it actually does talk to you a little bit. I can feel what the front tires are doing. The suspension also stays nice and flat, which is good for those of you who want to, go, around your favorite back road because it feels good. The all-wheel drive system in this car can send more power to the rear to create, again, more of that drift feel, that rear drive dynamics, which you love, or which I love when it comes to, a sporty coupe like this. And the car just feels incredibly balanced. It feels very much like an M3 competitor, and that's important because this is basically an M4 competitor. And I'd argue this feels more like an M4 competitor or an M3 competitor versus the current C63 SE Performance. Let's try another run here. We'll do the launch control. Oh, oh my God. Oh, geez, 3.71 seconds there. So as I expected, it is a little faster than what Mercedes claims. It's also around a second faster than the last CLE that I tested, a CLE 450, which again lacks the electric supercharger, but it's also this transmission. This is a 9-speed automatic, which essentially they call it a TFT AMG speed shift. And it's a quick shifting transmission. It feels and behaves a lot like a dual clutch transmission, which is, you know, something that you want when you're driving a vehicle like this. You want it to feel a little bit more like a, you know, performance car, and a dual clutch is going to do that for you. I just wish this car had more pops and crackles from the exhaust. It's lacking that, but it's still a smooth engine, but it's also much better than the 4-cylinder M139 engine that you'll find in like a C43 or a C63S. So I'm happy that AMG is moving back toward inline sixes, and I've also read reports that they are dumping the 4-liter or the 4-cylinder engine in the C63S and replacing it potentially with this engine, or they could go back to a V8. So it's good to see Mercedes-AMG is listening to their customers, and I think that's definitely important. But let's go ahead and switch the drive mode out of its race setting here. Let's go into just comfort. This is where the CLE 53 is going to remind you that this is a luxury coupe as well. The exhaust gets a little bit quieter. The ride quality gets a little softer, the steering gets a little bit lighter, and there's very little road, wind, or engine noise in this car. The chassis also feels nice and stiff. There's not a squeak or rattle in this car that I noticed as well in my weeks worth of testing, and it just, you know, is a comfortable cruiser. You could, you know, essentially drive this thing on a long road trip and then put it into race mode and take it to your, you know, your favorite back road or even a track. Perhaps it could just use some track compound tires for extra grip, but that's what I love about these AMG models, that they have that split personality, and with the standard 4MATIC plus all-wheel drive, you don't have to worry about it putting the power down. It is all-wheel drive all the time, and when you have it in its race mode, you can, you know, get the tail to step out with its rear drive dynamics a little bit. So yeah, I'm impressed. I like this car way more than the CLE 450. It just, with the electric supercharger, the tuning that AMG has done, it just makes this car become alive. So this is definitely worthy of the AMG badge. In terms of fuel efficiency, switching to a mild hybrid inline six also has improved the gas mileage, obviously, if you guys are coming from the old C63S with the V8, of course. In my weeks worth of testing, I averaged around 20 miles to the gallon in mostly city driving. Again, this vehicle is rated at 2027. In the highway, I actually got around 28 mpg. So very good gas mileage on the highway. You'll easily do over 400 miles of range on a full tank on the highway with this car. It'll be around 350-ish if you guys are going to drive mostly in the city. Again, the mild hybrid tech definitely helps. And the transmission, when you have it in comfort, is also smooth. It doesn't have a lot of the herky jerkiness that you'd associate with a dual clutch. So that makes this car feel a little bit more, you know, easy to live with for a daily driver, and it's just super refined. So I think AMG did a really great job. I personally love the way this car looks. You know, does it compete with vehicles like an M4? I mean, that's the thing about this car, is it's in between the power figures and price of an M4 and an M440i coupe with xDrive. So it's an interesting blend there, an interesting twist, and I think the design is absolutely stunning. I think the interior is also pretty nice. I like how this has the C-Class interior as opposed to the E-Class interior, and it is surprisingly efficient, comfortable, luxurious, but then when you put it into its race mode, it easily wakes up. It just could use a little more authentic sound as opposed to a synthesized sound that's basically being piped in. I want more pops and crackles. I want more of a sonorous wail that you get from an inline six. So after spending a full week with the hottest version of the new CLE class, I have to admit, I wasn't expecting quite the transformation after the mad scientists at AMG, their performance division, got a hold of this vehicle. Because as you guys know, the regular CLE 450 is a comfortable and refined luxury cruiser. However, the AMG version definitely takes things up to the next level. The AMG enhanced turbocharged inline six with the electric supercharger and the mild hybrid system delivers stunning performance. As you guys saw, 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds consistently, and the race start just adds lots of drama. It feels properly fast, and while the sounds could be a little bit more sonorous, I just want a little more pops and crackles from the exhaust. And I'm only saying that because the engine in the old E53 had those exact noises. It was fantastic. I think Mercedes-AMG could definitely do better. I also want to point out, if you don't use the launch control, the 0 to 60 for this time for this car is roughly 4.5 seconds. So keep that in mind. The launch control shaves down nearly a full second off the 0 to 60 time. The handling of this car also is a proper AMG, sporty with communicative steering, a nice flat suspension that also doesn't beat you up on a longer road trip. The seats on this car also, while they are comfortable for the most part, the massage function and the seat kinetics where it moves slightly on those longer trips also makes the seats a lot more enjoyable. The back seat is also surprisingly usable. The trunk is on the small side, but what'd you expect? It is a two-door coupe. And really, this car in general, I think with the styling enhancements, the wider body, the fat tires, really screams more of an E63, like an E-Class coupe versus a C-Class coupe in general. So I think that the design team did a fantastic job essentially taking an already good looking car and making it look even better. Now, of course, if you are interested in getting your hands on a CLE 53, it's going to cost you a little bit more versus a CLE 450, but at the same time, not as much as I expected it to be. It's around a $7,000 price increase to go from a CLE 450 to a 53. Base price for this model starts at around $74,300. Again, you can get into a base CLE 300 4MATIC for about 58 grand. So it is a big jump, but also it is definitely warranted considering the performance enhancements that you get with this car. My particular test car, of course, has the Pinnacle trim. It has the driver assistance package. It has the upgraded wheels, the upgraded interior, the upgraded paint finish, of course, the Dynamic Plus package, all in with destination of around $1,200. My test car here comes in at just over $89,000. I know 89 grand sounds like a lot, but I want you guys to remember this. About 5 years ago, I tested out the E53 Coupe when they first refreshed it and added this powertrain. That car was around $100,000. Now, granted, it was an E-Class coupe, so technically this car is technically cheaper, or actually a little bit cheaper, and it's also cheaper to start because the old E53 coupe 5 years ago started at around $76,000. This car's price actually puts it right in between an M440i coupe with xDrive and an M4 coupe. An M4 coupe starts at around 80 grand. An M440i xDrive coupe starts at around $68,000. So they've priced this car right. But I also have to point out, for around 89,000 bucks, you could spend $86,000 to get an M4 with a manual transmission. Granted, it is rear-wheel drive. It won't be as quick as this car, but I'd argue it's more engaging, and the BMW Straight 6 offers 30 more horsepower. And then you could also ramp it up to the xDrive competition M4 for around $96,000, so $10,000 more. But again, it is around 6 grand more than this car, but it offers 523 horsepower. It has all-wheel drive. It has an 8-speed auto. So there is a lot of choices, actually, and you have to think about that, because if you like the styling of this car, you like the performance, if you guys aren't loyal to Mercedes-AMG or Mercedes-Benz, the BMW, to me, actually offers better choices and better value. And as an enthusiast, I might snag for $85,000 an M4 coupe with the manual transmission, but that's just me personally. I think AMG has done a great job at actually creating an M4 fighter, but just keep in mind the new M4 is also pretty darn good as well. Well, all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new Mercedes-AMG CLE 53. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.